welcome to Fools Rush In. It seems everyone's cameras are working except mine for no obvious reason. So I'll start by welcoming everyone else while I try and work out what's happened. Standard performance by us. So as you appear on my screen, good evening, Ben.
Good evening. How you doing, Fifey?
Well, I was doing very well until about 30 seconds ago. How are you, sir?
I'm good. All the better for hearing you, mate.
Oh, he's gone.
He's gone completely now.
It's
Craig, you're taking over the hosting duties again now.
Craig, you're in.
Craig, come on, stand up.
I'll do the introductions then. So we'll say hello to Ben. Evening, Mark. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, Fifey. How are you?
Hold on. That's fill in Fifey for you.
Fill in Fifey, yeah. I'm very well, mate. Very well, mate. Shame we didn't get to see you on Saturday, but it was nice to catch up with a few of the boys that are on here, and I'm sure I'll catch up with the rest of you throughout the season.
Yeah, sure, mate. Well, unfortunately, those trains don't drive themselves. Well, not at the moment, anyway. So, yeah. Evening, Ned. How you doing, Mucker?
Yeah, all good. Very, very, very good. At least my camera's working. It's more than where did he go? Fifey, he's back.
Hey.
Right, Craig, you're sacked now. See you later.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll sit back. I'll stand down now. That's fine.
Well, not really, because you'd be next on screen to say hello. How are you?
Oh, me?
Yeah, no, Craig.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm fantastic, mate. All aboard the Fools Rush In love train, mate.
Indeed. And a very good evening to young Nick. How are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm good. It looks like Fools have got the boat that Swindon had in the first half on Saturday. So,
absolutely. Our first half is going to be an absolute shambles as well. How are you, Ned?
Oh, I'm good. I just said hello, but hello again.
And Woody, good evening, sir.
There ain't no wise men on here, is there? I'm good. I hope you're all well.
Yes, much better now. My camera is actually working. And for the first time live, hello, Rich.
How you doing, guys? All right?
Yeah, good to have you back with us. And sneaking in on the end, I never even got to see you pre-start of the show. Evening, Warren.
I snuck in just on time, and then I thought I'd sabotaged it by everything going wrong. I thought it was me for a minute, but no, good to see you, Fifey, finally.
Yeah, good to see you too, as it was on Saturday when most of us got to meet up. And to everyone watching live, can I just say welcome to Fools Rush In Live.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Get straight into the action by reviewing the game at the weekend, and I think it's fair to say most of what is about to be discussed is not going to be wholeheartedly agreed by everybody. So let's try and attack each bit individually, and we have had some comments sent in advance as well. So let's look at the first half. Between us, we covered all three of the stands for the home team. We'll all have had different perceptions, but we'll get into the nitty-gritty. For example, red cards in a minute. First half, did anyone think it was anything other than shockingly bad? That's pretty much what I was expecting. I mean, I don't think Salford were that good, personally. I think we just did not come out at all. The game plan didn't seem to be working, whatever that game plan was supposed to be. And it took us a good 45 minutes to really get to grips with what was happening. I mean, Rich, you're one of the few that I haven't had a chance to speak to since the game. What were your thoughts of the first 45?
I mean, they were so memorable, I couldn't remember because, I mean, like most people on the first game of the season, I like to have a few drinks. So, but yeah, no, it was absolutely terrible. And I tell you what, I needed those drinks to get through that first half because it was so bad. I don't even know if it was that we got going. I completely agree with you. I don't think Salford were any good. You know, I think we had like a bit of the early sort of like, you know, same old at home record like we did last season. You know, there was just absolutely no flow to it at all. Second half, we completely picked up in the second half. And in fact, actually, I feel as if that we probably should have won that game. And actually, I was disappointed that we didn't win that game in the second half because I thought Bryn pulled off an incredible save.
He was superb.
It was absolutely unbelievable save. And, you know, I think we had chances to win that game. I thought Wakeland put in the shift up top. I thought Gladwin was fantastic. I thought Clayton was brilliant as a fill-in left back, and I think Sol Bryn. Well, I mean, with most 0-0s, you got to give the keeper man of the match. I mean, I thought he was fully deserving of man of the match. And do you know what? I'm so glad that he did put in such a good performance because the shit and the stick that he got at Harrogate last week, that just proved that the haters wrong, really.
Well, I could be wrong, but on that note, so carry on, Mitch.
No, I was just going to say he's also got one more clean sheet than Kovar did now. So,
yeah,
good summary of the first half there, Rich.
Oh, sorry, mate. I couldn't even remember it, mate. It was that. It was so bad.
On that particular note, you were saying there, Rich, Woody, I think it was you that maybe messaged, and forgive me if it wasn't, but there was some fans after one game already booing when his name was announced, kind of thing, which was unbelievable.
Yeah, they'd had a few too many oranges. It was. I don't know if are we talking about it later, or are we going straight into it now? Because I know we've got Melbourne Warriors. Yeah, I mean, literally, I was right next to it as it was happening. It was the same old contingent of, you know, the younger fans who. And what annoys me the most about it is the fact that he's not put himself as number one. You know, somebody else has put him there because they believe he's the right person for the job. So we don't really have a right to be booing our own players or anything like that before we've even started. And he hasn't. You know, Bryn didn't have a bad game at Harrogate, as Rich said. He didn't have a bad game. He couldn't do much about the goals, so it's completely undeserved. So, fair fucks in some ways to Mildenhall for shouting over to the just what's the point basically, and telling them shut up. Wardy came over as well, telling them just that there's no need. And then obviously I shouted over to him to say, "Come on, lads!" Not even before the game, and it was at that point they shut up. So obviously. The respect and authority is up to here, but yeah, it's just unnecessary. It's no good. We still the majority of the fan base probably still think Ward deserves to be number one, but Bryn's not done anything really wrong, and especially on Saturday, we would have lost the game if it wasn't for Bryn. We can't guarantee that Ward would have saved some of those blinding saves he pulled off in the second half, especially. So yeah, I think fair play to Mildenhall sticking up for his goalkeepers. Fair play to Ward because he must be frustrated because he sees that half the fan base want him as number one. But most importantly, fair play to Bryn to be getting that kind of abuse from your own fans in the second game, the first home game of the season, and then still pull off a performance like that. There's been players that we've had at Swindon. Don't ask me to name any, but I can know we definitely had some. Lancashire is one. That the moment you get on his back,
don't ask me to name them, Woody. Lancashire.
It's only because I was worried that you were going to ask me to name them, and then I went, Rich is on, Ollie Lancashire. Yeah, so it's ridiculous.
Also got to remember, Bryn's only 21 years old as well.
Yeah, no,
really
absolutely.
young for a goalkeeper, and I thought, he could have come out Saturday and just not done what he needed to do, but he understood. He got a bit of stick, unnecessary stick, like Woody already said. But at the same time, though, that can go either one of two ways, and he chose the right way, and he got his rewards out of it. So fair play to Chris.
Absolutely. There is plenty to dissect about the game, which we are going to do, but I would like to say a special hello to the young man in the corner. Young Oscar is joining us for the first time. How are you, pal?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good. Nice to see you again. We obviously spent a bit of time with each other on Saturday at the game. Give us your thoughts of the game as a whole. What did you think of it?
I mean, overall, I didn't think we played too bad, but to point out a few mistakes, I thought we were really not aggressive enough on the ball, especially in the first half. And I thought the Rhino as well was just appalling.
Yeah, well, me and Mark certainly have a lot to say about the linesman shortly, because it was both comical and frustrating in equal measure. Rich was saying that although the first half was poor, on the balance of play in the second half, he was actually slightly disappointed we didn't come away with a win. Did you feel the same?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think in the second half we were definitely the better opponents by quite a way.
No, I would definitely agree, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow night at Walsall, where hopefully we will see us score a goal.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
But by all means, anytime you'd like to join in, you're more than welcome. Let's move over to Warren, who had a particularly nice view of proceedings. What did you make of the first half in particular, mate? Because I know when I went on my halftime rant and the internet signal allowed my 50 million WhatsApps to go through, you were straight in like, yep, Fifey's ranting again.
It just had the feel of a classic early season game, didn't it? It was especially in the first half. I know we were very critical of us, but like we said, Salford didn't really get going either. So I don't understand all the criticism about us. It was a classic early season game. And all these people at the moment that I'm hearing that Lindsay's not going to get a chance and stuff like that, you need to give these lads a bit of time just to bed in. We did this last season. We did it. We binned off Louis Reed 2 games in, going, oh, he's rubbish. He's not going to do anything for us. And then look at the season he had in the end. Do you know what I mean? And we've got to give these lads a chance to bed in. We've had a bit of a turnover of players. We've got some new lads in, but it seems to be our fan base, and I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but one of our players has a bad game and we're straight on their back straight away. I think it's disgusting. We didn't get going first half. We didn't play our football. They didn't really get going, created a couple of half chances. I think personally, after shipping 3 goals first game of the season, it wouldn't surprise me if Lindsay said, look, let's just create a foundation into the first half, stay in the game. Let's not be... Because everyone built this game up that Salford was going to be a real tough game. They're going to be towards the top end of the league. They had a good result last week. So maybe our plan was to maybe just stay in the game. Let's not concede early and be behind in the game. Let's try and stay nice and steady and keep in it. And yeah, so about the first half, it was a nothing first half. The only positive that we could take from it was we wasn't losing at halftime. That was the only thing. And we're going to come on to Mccurdy, and I'll have a strong opinion on that, and to make sure you ask me. But yeah.
Don't worry, everyone will certainly get their say on Mccurdy. Yeah. We had some comments in on Twitter ahead of it by people who weren't sure whether they'd be able to make it to live or not. So our friend of the show, Luke, he had a lot to say. Don't want to go over old ground, but thought Darcy, Hutton and Clayton were excellent. The Mccurdy thing seems to have been blown out of all proportion by In the Know accounts. We've all, especially me, had our say on In the Know accounts recently. This will just frustrate a player who thrives on confidence and the crowd. He also thinks the captain could have done better to step in and tell Mccurdy to shut it. Clearly wasn't in the right frame of mind and arguing non-stop with the linesman in front of us. We can't help poor officiating, but can deal with situations better. Do you think that's a fair reflection, Ben?
Yeah, pretty much. I think the first half was just really disjointed. We didn't actually really get going. My personal opinion, it's a lot to do with the formation and how it's set. I don't think the players that we have are suited to it. I think, it just didn't work first half. The second half was complete opposite. I think I was so encouraged. You couldn't tell we had 10 men.
We created probably more chances. We were unlucky not to score on numerous occasions, and I think our keeper really was only pushed to one absolute worldy save, but one save. We didn't deserve to lose that game at all, and the impact a lot of the players, Clayton and Darcy, came on. Unbelievable, brilliant, and it now gives me hope. It's just up to the manager whether he picks up and hopefully adds a little bit more flexibility to his tactics, and the know-how that he showed in the second half. Because Salford had no answer. They were laughing that first half. Second half, they didn't know how to cope. They couldn't really cope, and at no point did they look like winning the game.
No, completely agree. Claire also messaged in, Nick, I'd love your thoughts on this. Darcy and Wakeling look very promising indeed. Could be exciting times ahead. Special mention for Ben Gladwin, who put in a great shift again. For me, showed his character when he was the one there with each player receiving a yellow, with a hand on their shoulder to calm it down.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, is that coming through okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, mate.
Yeah, I thought Ben Gladwin not only played a decent game, but he managed certain situations really well by chatting to players, basically doing a captain's job. And it's great to see him playing really well. And the other ones that came in, like Ben said, it gives us a good bit of hope that we've got the makers of a decent team. Just commenting on what was said earlier with our fans, I think half the problem is they watch too much Premiership football. They see that football at a level. These boys are in Division 4 in old money for a reason, because they're not Premiership standard. And, every player out there worked his guts out, certainly in that second half. And if nothing else, our fans need to get behind every single player. And we've got the makings that could be a good side. I think Mccurdy, we'll talk about him later, did us a favour, as it turned out, which I'm sure everybody's alluded to. Hopefully Lindsay takes that on board, and I guess we'll see tomorrow night what the formation is and what the team is.
Ned, let me ask you next, from your perspective. We're going to touch on Mccurdy separately, but it was just a game of two halves, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I don't really want to keep going over the same things again, but the first half, the thing that I noticed sort of prominently for myself was obviously being in the Arcos. Thanks, by the way, to Claire, who sourced me a ticket. So huge appreciation there. Thank you very much. Because I was on this side, I noticed the body language of Tyrese Shade. It stunk. It absolutely stunk. His head was down the whole time. It's just very poor. It looked like we was 3-0 down or something. I don't know if he was stropping about a tactical decision or something, but his body language was awful, and that really concerns me. Whether the left-hand side is his strongest position, which apparently, according to it was Walsall, wasn't it? They said that when he went left wing back, he sort of come alive. So I don't think it's the positioning thing. I think it might be something else. I'm just concerned about that. But that was the one thing that I sort of noted from the first half, other than obviously the Mccurdy sending off. But I thought Salford started all right. I thought they passed the ball really well. The one thing I will say as well is that for a possession-based team, we struggled to keep hold of the ball, which is a massive problem. But yeah, second half, unbelievable. The grit, the determination. We didn't see a lot of this, in my opinion, for a lot of last seasons. For some of the games which we were sort of, holding on by the edges, by the edges of our teeth or whatever. It was just fabulous to see everyone just giving everything and getting their body in the way of the ball and making space and running as hard as they can. I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. And there's something else I wanted to say with regards to the substitutes as well. I think this season the five substitute rule is massive for us, and it's not a coincidence that we're going for a stronger squad than stronger 11, because you look at Salford, you know, I think they did put all the effort in, but then it seemed like they were out of steam by maybe 60 minutes, 70 minutes. They didn't have anyone to bring on. I mean, you look at their bench, they had, you know, one sort of senior player who could change the game, and that last season was us. So, you know, this season we had all these different players, you know, that can make a big change, and I think that's going to play into our hands. Also, as well, on transfers wise, I think having 5 substitutes, I think that's going to put a lot of value in say players who can't last 90 minutes. So maybe these slightly older players who can do a job for a half rather than, or you know, 30 minutes rather than a full game, because we, you know, you've got the luxury of having 5 substitutes this year. So I think it opens up the transfer possibilities to, you know, it opens it up wider to give us a you know, maybe a solid guy who can only run around for 40 minutes. That quite excites me. I didn't really think about it before the start of the season, but after watching the game on Saturday, it sort of highlights it. Actually, you know, there's a lot of value in having someone like who was that player who's going to go to MK Dons? Striker, former Man United.
Sorry, man, don't follow MK Dons that closely.
The injury-prone guy. Anyway, yeah. So they were going to get him, and everyone's like, "Oh, you know, he's not very fit and all this sort of stuff." But hang on, if you're only going to play him for 40 minutes a game, it doesn't matter. He's, you know, not, you know, 100% fit at all times. But anyway, sorry for ranting. Back to you guys.
It's no problem at all. Craig, from your perspective, what did you make of it? Were you listening in or watching in?
Yeah, I watched the game, and yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, the first half an hour, nobody came out of that with any credit apart from Sol Bryn. I think we were poor. We couldn't keep hold of the ball. We weren't creating any chances. And like we say, you know, the sending off just seemed to galvanise the team and bring them together. I think one thing, you know, they were saying about Ben Gladwin, going around and being a captain. McDonald, I don't think he played particularly well, but especially once we'd gone down to 10 men, every time we had a disagreement with the referee and our players were going at him, he was straight there to stop our players from getting involved and stuff like that. So I think in a way, McDonald showed really good leadership and experience there, and potentially stopped a couple more sendings off, because, you know, we weren't that far from probably going down to 9 or 8 men at that point. So yeah, I mean, the second half, I mean, what can you say? You know, we just looked the better team, didn't we? You know, we were so much better, and Salford were good first half, but second half, I don't really know what happened to them, but they didn't look that good, even though they're like one of my favourites to go up. But yeah, it was a good performance. I think I'm happy with the draw, all things considered, considering we were down to 10 men. Again, Sol Bryn was class, absolutely quality. I'd still rather have Ward as number 1, but I wouldn't be too fussed if Bryn carries up, keeps the number 1 jersey, because as far as I'm concerned, he earned it on Saturday.
I'm not going to put any words in your mouth, Mark, because we obviously sat together for the game. So I'll let you go first with your view on it before I throw my 10 cents worth in, and we can move on, because I know we were sharing a lot of opinions with a lot of people on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the game itself, I think I'm going to agree with pretty much what everyone said so far. I mean, the only couple of things I would add to that really were, I'm not quite sure what patterns of play the team are working on when we've got the ball, because in the first half, I just really couldn't see how we were looking to move the ball forward or through the thirds. It seemed incredibly disjointed, and I don't know whether or not that's because they don't want to play a 3-5-2 formation, because evidently when we changed to a back 4, everyone seemed to revert to type, and the energy was there, and the ability and the communication and the chemistry, I think, is the point that I'm looking for, was actually there. I'm trying not to sound like a blinking game of FIFA, but it really was like the chemistry in that playing this 3-5-2 formation just doesn't seem to be quite right. but we actually looked at an attacking threat in the second half. We didn't in the first. I was genuinely worried at some point, and I'm still concerned that we haven't managed to notch after a couple of games. I'd like to see somebody score just to see how much that does lift the side. But yes, kudos. Actually, I would say to the team in the second half. I mean, Tom Clayton for me, that was a composed performance. Darcy as well. I mean, he looks a proper player. Wakeling as well. I mean, I know it was the first time I've seen him in the flesh, and obviously, and Woody'd made some comparisons previously about the Jerry Yates. His style of running is exactly like Jerry Yates. When he's on that ball, the head down, the motor, he knows what he's doing with it. I'm genuinely quite excited. So there's a huge amount of talent in this side. I don't know whether we're 2 or 3 games from realizing that, or from when that something eventually clicks. It feels like it's closer this last week than it was against Harrogate. But yeah, overall, I'm delighted. I'm delighted we got a point. I'm delighted we got a point against a team that are heavily backed to be up there come the end of the season. Would I like to have won? Yes, but equally, I'm impressed that we played more than half a game of football and nullified the opposition. Got to be delighted with a point.
No, that's absolutely correct. From my perspective, without going over the old ground, as they say. I think we desperately needed a natural left footer. I think that would have made all the difference going forward in particular. And as someone who has advocated how difficult the job can be, I have to say that is some of the worst officiating I have ever witnessed, particularly from the linesman on our side, Mark, who, I mean, I try and give anyone and everyone the benefit of the doubt, but I lasted about, 20 minutes before I started giving him verbals. You were very quickly following suit, and then we had the family behind us equally doing it. But it was both the sublime to the ridiculous in terms of every decision he was making seemed to be wrong. But not only that, he had this sort of comedy stance he was doing while doing it wrong.
that crowd, it was hilarious. I'm not quite sure what that was about, but what was really beginning to piss me off was the fact that he was flagging for offside and he wasn't even level with the plays. And how the fuck do you know that that's an offside call? You're like 10 yards behind where the ball is, and you're trying to give a decision based on the diagonal. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Appalling. And that crab, I really don't. I've never seen a lines person officiate with that kind of bent over. He might as well have been doing that on the sideline with his, flag behind his head. I've got absolutely no idea what that was about. I mean, was it his first game at officiating at League 2 level? I don't know. I don't know who the guy is. No, I mean, Woody's shaking his head, so who knows? He's probably done it 100 times before, but I've never seen anything like it. And to be honest, it was the biggest source of entertainment in the first half.
No, absolutely. And I'd just like to say, before we move on to the next topic, i.e. Harry Mccurdy, thank you to Hannah's for letting myself, Woody and Ben have a little bit of time on the pre-show that you guys did. And as we've sort of alluded to, the invite is always there for you to come and spend some time in the virtual pub with the rest of the fools on the panel, if you so wish. But no, it was nice of you to grant time. And when there is this sort of thing, where there's certain, again, areas of the fan base who want to suggest that we're all at war with each other and, none of us are going to get on and we're all fighting to be Swindon's #1 podcast. The fact that we're all willing to go on each other's and share opinions and stuff just goes to prove that at the end of the day, we're all Swindon fans. We all just want to produce the best possible content for our fellow fans. But no, thank you very much for the invite. We very much appreciated it. The future of Harry Mccurdy. Now, this is interesting. Let's start with the red card in the game. And the reason I want to start there is because I was asked a question after at halftime. Do I think he will still be a Swindon player at the end of the window? Now, I've said all the way through pre-season, unequivocally yes. But the way he got sent off was the first time I've doubted how much he wants to be here, because I felt he was anonymous in the first half. And I know that there'll be people that say he had no service, which is absolutely true. We were awful, as we've all commented on already. But the first one, how many bookings does the boy need for descent before he learns just to not run his mouth too much is one question. Did he deserve a red card for that particular challenge? Probably not, but he gave the ref the option. He'd been going on at him all game. The ref was just looking for one reason to do it. He was about half a second late with the tackle. I wasn't happy with the red card, but I was equally not happy with Mccurdy. And I used the phrase petulant child in our WhatsApp group to describe what I thought of his 30 minutes on the pitch or whatever it was. And a couple of you mentioned we were actually a lot better with 10 men when he wasn't on the pitch. So I'm interested to know, and I'll go through you all, A, your thoughts on the red card, and B, the future, how you see it. Warren, you said you wanted to be asked, so I'll start with you and we'll work from there. Give us your views on Harry Mccurdy, please, sir.
I don't slate players. This is not me. I don't do it. I give every player a fair crack at it. But that was a player that does not want to be at this football club. That was a joke. The quickest he ran was the 30 yards to run to the ref to get his first yellow in the first half. He's literally on the halfway line and he's scampered all the way back to the edge of our area to have a go at the ref and get his first yellow. So that's classic Harry Mccurdy. We can sort of accept that. A little bit of dissent, yeah. But even through the start of the game, me being on the Arkles side, and I don't know if Ned noticed as well being in the Arkles, he was just bickering with all the coaching staff for the first 20 minutes. He was always over and he was having a conversation with Lindsay, and Lindsay was trying to tell him something, and he was just, it felt like he was bickering back and arguing back. So whether he doesn't agree but sorry, you're paid at this football club to do your job. And if the manager tells you to do your job, whether you don't like it or you do like it, you get on with it, you roll your sleeves up and you carry on. The second yellow, like you've summed up, he has given the ref the opportunity. I agree it's not a foul. I totally agree. But he's made the ref make a decision, and that ref was so happy to get yellow cards out of his pocket all of that first half. And he had no reason. And he was just like, there we go, thanks for giving me the opportunity. And people were going, Salford players have sold him down the river. I'm sorry, if the shoe was on the other foot, that's called an experienced pro that's got him sent off, and no problem to me. When he was walking off the pitch, moaning and begrudging, and everyone was booing the ref, I was stood there going, why are we booing the ref? I'm not saying boo our own player, but that is, McCurdy's cost us that. That is... But
do you know what? It's very interesting you say that, because I turned round to Mark in a fit of rage and I said, why are all these fans applauding Mccurdy for getting himself sent off?
People were stood up clapping him. And I
could not understand it.
Sat in my seat and I was going, why are we applauding this?
That's exactly what I said.
It's sold the players down the river. And people were saying to me, Lindsay should have brought him off. Lindsay should have brought him off after the first yellow. Lindsay is a new manager that's trying to build his way. If he would have took Mccurdy off after that first yellow, the backlash he would have got from all the fans for him taking Mccurdy off would have been unbelievable. So the point people make about bringing Mccurdy off, that is ridiculous. No, there's no way that he was going to bring him off. And, you know, I mean, he's got to learn. And people saying, McDonald should have stepped in. I'm sorry, Mccurdy thinks he's a big time at this club, a massive big time. And he thinks that he's the number one and the pinnacle. I'm sorry, in the second half, the players showed that they can do it without him. And I know we're going to say, where's the goals going to come from? But we've got to give these lads a chance. And I'll let all these boys in now because I know they've probably got a different opinion to me because we all love Mccurdy. But I'm sorry. That looked like a player to me that does not want to be at our football club. And if he was sold tomorrow, I'd have no begrudge. Ta-ta, see ya.
I'm very interested how this goes because I haven't actually prejudged who's got what opinion exactly. So let's go to Ned next. Your thoughts on the red and his future, please.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure you haven't? Okay. The thing is, now Warren's saying it, I kind of agree with Warren, but my view was pretty different beforehand. I did feel sorry for Harry because he... Give me a chance, Warren. Give me a chance.
I'll give you a chance.
Hold on. Different opinions and all that. It's just... so Yeah, he was being targeted. They were. He got taken down off the ball so many times. The referee didn't see it once, and you could see that frustration was just building and building and building. And like when he was saying about going to the bench and all that, I agree. I'm sure there was some Naki sort of going back because he was getting completely frustrated. I think a lot of it was not just at our coaching staff, but at the third official, the fourth official as well. But I mean, regardless, I mean, he's a professional. He's got to be able to deal with it, hasn't he? Essentially, because now other teams have seen him react like this, it's going to be done every single game. So he's just got to learn to not react or do a controlled react. But the thing I didn't like is the fact that the referee booked him so early. I know that takes depends what people think. I know that Craig's shaking his head, but it's just usually that kind of a little bit of the back talk and stuff typically doesn't get picked up in the first 30 minutes. But game of opinions and all that. But and then from my view, underneath the director's box, never in a million years was that a yellow card. I'm sorry, that was never a yellow card.
Which one? The first one or the second one?
The second one. The
second one. It's definitely a yellow card. I had to rewatch the replay for it. I didn't think it was.
All right. But the opposing player touched the ball. Brilliant. But it's still just a shoulder to shoulder. It wasn't like he was on a run or anything.
Ned,
but
anyway. Agree. Ned, I totally agree with you that the second yellow wasn't the second, but he's jinxed in and out of 3 or 4 players, and then he hasn't completed a simple 10-yard pass. So he's jinxed in and out of all these players, and then that's what the frustration was, that he didn't complete the 10-yard pass, and then he sprinted 30 yards and just clattered into that player. And I agree it isn't a yellow, but the ref was waiting for the decision, and yeah.
But is that Mccurdy's fault that the referee's waiting to book him?
No, but I think he's put himself in the position to be booked again.
I mean, but what's he going to do for the rest of the game? I know that he's put himself in that position to get booked.
If he didn't run and get the first booking, he could carry on his edge. But you've got to manage with your head, haven't you? Surely.
Well, yeah, I know, but it seems like he's been singled out. One, because he's known for his back talk, and two, that because he's had those moments already, that the referee's booked him for a challenge when he probably wouldn't have booked him in the first place. So that's I think that's been unfair. I would say that's been unfair, but I know honestly I listen to your point and I do agree with what you're saying, but it's this was my point beforehand, and
I agree.
Let's throw it over to Woody because he's itching to get involved in this one. You can see him frothing at the mouth almost. Go on, Woody.
Well, funnily enough, right now you all know my opinions on Mccurdy in general.
You've not been backwards and coming forwards, that's for sure.
No, I'm just gonna pick up on a couple of points. Okay, I agree with Ned. The first booking was way too early. Mccurdy was not the only player given the referee stick. He was not the only player given the referee stick for decisions, and nobody got anything else. So unless he's actually physically called him something wrong, i.e. CUNT or something like that, that hiding behind the booking is just to show that he's not ready to control the game. Okay? We talk about Mccurdy's too big for his boots and stuff. We talk about Mccurdy's too big for his boots. I'm sorry, but the Swindon fan base made him that way. Swindon fan base, we've turned him into this god icon. We've done that. The Swindon fan base have done that. He's the only player that gets a chance pretty much every time he comes out. Okay. And the other thing is, and I'm sorry, I've got to disagree with this, with the view that Mccurdy needs to mature. Mccurdy got a booking every 3 games last season. It's his game. And if we took that out of his game, we'd be all sat here going, he's not the same player. So, yes, I think what has actually happened on Saturday was he was unfortunate that he's mixed in with the wrong ref. Because in any other game, the refs told him, shut up, otherwise you're going in the book. He told him once, and I can tell you how bad the referee was. Wakelin's first challenge, book straight away. Yeah. And the ref, Mccurdy shouldn't have gone and done all that to ref, but he'll never change. So all the people saying that that's a player that doesn't want to be at the club, he's always been like that. Wherever he's been like that. So I don't think that's going to change. And I think he's now at the age where it's going to be difficult to change. You look at the likes of,
he won't change at his age now.
No, and you look at the likes of, I know it's a totally different class, but Wayne Rooney got booked 12 times by one referee in his career, so it's a different class, but things like that, there are some players, so you've managed them, there are some players that just naturally will get a booking because they've got a certain way. I'm still convinced that ref had I think he was sent off long before the game started, because referees do talk like that. We've got friends that are refs, they do talk. And Mccurdy's got a reputation.
How the player sense that? This is my argument towards it. Surely,
in the heat of the moment, when you're not playing very well, I don't think you can. I think you have red mist in front of you. The moment you're not playing, because he's not playing very well. We've all said that tonight. He's not playing very well. I don't think that's necessarily a sign that he doesn't want to be here. I just think he's not playing very well. Like I said, the only thing is when Mccurdy last year was winding players up, winding opposition fans. Nearly everybody, and I would almost say probably even you at one point, was saying that's what we love about him. That's what he does to opposition players and fans, and we liked it. And now all of a sudden, because he's not playing very well, it goes back to the point I made about his social media post last year, that the moment he starts playing crap, the whole fan base will turn on him, and this booking and sending off is a real easy reason to turn on him. And I just think that we need to wind it in a little bit. He's not the only player that's ever going to get sent off for Swindon Town. And I genuinely think I can't buy into the fact that a player getting himself sent off is a reason he wants to leave a club. It's showing that he wants to leave a club. No player wants a red card next to their game name. So I think, I do think that there is a little bit of overreaction in the fact that we think he needs to lose the club. We made him the main man. Whether it's we as in the royal we, or whether it's we as a club, we made him the main man. So that's it.
This topic is obviously one that everyone wants to have their say on, and I want to make sure everyone does get their chance. So I've got down next to let Rich go, and then Craig, I can see you're itching. You're after Rich.
Well, I think a lot of people don't actually realise, and I mentioned this a few times to Woody when we were at Harrogate, and I don't know if it's an ongoing thing with Mccurdy or anything like that, but I think what people haven't seen is that he's got something over his leg. I think he's playing injured. No, I'm not saying that's anything to do with any. I don't know if that's anything to do with his playing style or anything like that, but I mean, that can affect, that obviously has an effect on the pitch. I mean, I could tell that he did play injured some games last season before, I think he was when he had that big injury that he had, because I think he was getting injections in his leg that made him play and stuff like that. But you got to remember, he had service last year, but when you're, so I don't know. I don't think it's got that much of a effect, but it is obviously impacting him in some kind of way. In terms of him not, I agree with Woody. I don't think it's that he doesn't want to be at the club. I think he does. But also, I don't think he's going to change. He isn't going to change. But also, another thing is how long did it actually take him to get into that groove of playing for us last season?
How do you mean?
It took a few games before.
Until he started firing.
It took a few games.
Well, one at a time, lads. One at a time.
Took until October to get actually firing. Now, again, like I say. And it's what you said earlier, Warren. Now, I know Woody doesn't want me to speak about this or anything like that, but last season it was about gelling and stuff like that. And I know Woody's going to kill me tomorrow, but and I'm not saying that that's got much of an impact on now, because I think Mccurdy should be one of those players welcoming the new lads in. This is how we're going to play, etc. And, hopefully Mccurdy, we all want Mccurdy to stop firing. We all want to see the Mccurdy from last season. I did see in the comments something about Mccurdy's welfare. and stuff like that. Now,
I can bring that back up for you.
Mccurdy doesn't seem the kind of person to. Yeah, that's the one. Mccurdy doesn't seem to be the one that would be massively affected by something that happened at Port Vale. However, like I say, because what happened to him at Port Vale away was obviously it would have an effect on anybody mentally. But
I think we have to be careful about speculating on a player's welfare and their mental state. We're in no position to
exactly.
We've done the mental health episode, and of course we do care about that. But we got to be careful here that if we start discussing his mental health, that could end up spreading elsewhere.
No, but I mean, like, what I mean in terms of that, I think from a mentality point of view, when you're actually out on the pitch, I don't know if that's got anything to do with the way he's playing or anything like that. But like I say, it's nothing that I'm speculating, but it is a valid point, and it is a valid reason as well for him to whether or not he's not playing that great. But like I say, he doesn't strike me the kind of person that would. But like I say, we don't know anything. So and there's no point us speculating or anything like that. So but I do think he will pick up. But also, just going back to what I was saying about injury, maybe Mccurdy doesn't seem the kind of person that would get purposely sent off, would he? I don't know what you guys' views on that.
No.
Let's move it over to Craig then.
I was just going to say very quickly, Fivey. Maybe he wanted to miss a game because he knew he was probably going to get picked for Walsall. Who are we playing on Saturday? Carlisle.
Possibly.
Who's the team he hates the most? Carlisle.
Yeah.
So maybe he wanted some extra time off to get prepared for it. That's just speculation. That's just me thinking about it, like sort of thing like that. Because I knew he was going to play tomorrow anyway. So, because he plays every game. So, but it'd be interesting to see. I don't know.
Go on then, Craig. You waited patiently. Let's hear your thoughts on it.
Sorry, Craig.
No, that's all right. No worries, Rich. I'm not going to speculate on whether he wants to stay at the club or not, or if he deliberately tried to get himself sent off. That's difficult to say. But what I will say is when it came to the the double yellow, he was warned before he went up and got booked for dissent. All right, the referee was inconsistent. The referee was shit with his bookings. If he'd have been consistent, we'd have been down to like 8 men, and Port Vale would have been down to 9. So. And that Bolton should have been sent off as well, shouldn't he, for 2 yellows if the referee had been consistent. But the thing is, you look at Mccurdy, right? He's got a reputation, right? He mocks officials online. He mocks players online. And you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If he was getting wound up by Salford, then that's just the way it goes. And if you've got a referee who's already card happy, as he was, and then you go and you're already on a yellow for dissent, and then you go in for a challenge, and it was a foul, 50-50 whether it should have been a yellow or not. You see those given, sometimes you don't. And, you've been given a yellow card. You're coming up to it was just before half time, wasn't it? And then he goes in and it's a stupid challenge. And he gave the referee the ammo to send him off. And I'm sorry, but that just, people say, that's part of his game and, going up to the referee. No, you can take that out of your game and still be the same player without mouthing off to officials and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, referees have got his card marked this season. The opposition players have got his cards marked as well. You only had to see the Salford players' reactions when they were applauding the referee for sending him off. All the other teams that we play against this season, they're going to see that and they're going to think, right, we can tuck him up here. We can get him sent off, or we can.
But they did that last season, Craig. They did that last season as well.
Yeah, but he didn't get himself sent off last season.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. So isn't it just the point that he's just mixed in with the wrong ref this time?
Well, no, not necessarily. But the thing is, he knew how card happy that ref was, would he? Why would you risk it? It's like the mouse that keeps electrocuting itself in those experiments when it's trying to get the cheese.
Great analogy there, Craig.
Why, so I'm sorry. He's a professional footballer. I don't want him to go. I want him to stay because if we got rid of him, we're strikers short anyway. If we get rid of him, we're really going to struggle. I think. I know Lindsay has said we've got the firepower without him, but I highly doubt that. And he is still our talisman. Whatever I think about him, whatever I think about how he was in that game, I want him to go on and get the goals in and bloody get us up and out of this shitty league. But if he carries on like that, and if he keeps, giving the referees what they want and the opposition what they want, that you're saying he's not going to change. Well, if he's got to change, because otherwise he's just going to be a one-season wonder for us.
Okay, there's still a couple more of the panelists who want to have their say. Let's move over to Ben for your opinion, please, sir.
Right. As you all know, I'm a huge Mccurdy fan, and I'll defend him really until I see fit. During the game, he obviously cut a frustrated figure. We started badly. Him and Wakeling weren't seeing any of the ball. He was actually running his arse off.
Was he?
He was making loads of runs. That he was being unfound. He was being looked at. There was loads of times he was getting frustrated at his teammates because he wasn't being picked out. I think last season
I was getting frustrated watching him not do anything.
Well, he was trying to create runs. He was trying to make things happen. It wasn't working for him. No one was looking for him or finding his runs at all. He was getting frustrated like that. A lot of players got a gobful from him because of that. He was frustration. Now, Mccurdy last season, I don't think there was a single player that wanted promotion or cared more. And I don't think there's much change this season either. I think that he watched the poor performance from the refereeing before him. And obviously he wasn't getting anything himself. And Salford did have a plan to wind him up. And the referee was not looking out or protecting him at all. And then he was watching the other fouls on all the other Swindon players as well. And he was telling him, he goes, "Ref, look, that's twice he's been done. Twice. Do your job." Right, that's 3 times. And every time a Swindon player was getting obstructed or fouled or shirt pulled or anything like that, he was getting into the referees and linesmen and fourth official face going, "You've done it again. You've missed yet again." And the referee at that point was just like, "Oh, shut up. Yellow card." Now, at that point, the referee was going to send him off. Always going to send him off. His impartiality, in my point of view, had gone. And that not just Mccurdy, but Swindon. And you look at the amount of bookings that Swindon got compared to the amount of bookings that Salford got, it's because that ref was out there looking, because of Mccurdy's actions. But I think that ref was looking to give decisions, against a Swindon player for anything that was a slight moan or a slight disagreement. It's just like, "I've had enough of you lot, you get a yellow. I've had enough of you get a yellow. You get yellow." And at the end, in the second half, it became a bit of a joke. It did become a bit of a joke. And everyone was pretty laughing at the referee. When Wakeling got booked, it was just like, there was one incident. There was one poor tackle in the game, which came from Reed, which the only player that deserved it. And that was after Gladwin was having been kicked by a couple of Salford players. And then Reed took it on himself to dish out a retribution because he were getting nothing off the ref.
Did you see that? Sorry to interrupt, Ben. Did you see that Wakeling did a bad tackle just before he got subbed? And that was worse than Mccurdy's, and he didn't get a second booker ball. And it's just like, the referee was some of his decisions were shocking.
Once the Mccurdy incident happened, the referee sprinted, hand to back pocket.
He was very quick to give the yellow cards out.
Waiting for that. He was waiting for the red card.
You're told as a referee as well.
His impartiality's gone. He's a professional guy, I'm sure, but his head was gone. He wanted Mccurdy off because Mccurdy was chasing him around the park. Now, Mccurdy, he shouldn't. He did it last season. He got 10 bookings last season. When he got his double suspension, only one of them was for a foul. So he did it all last season. Saturday, he got caught out for it. He got done for it. And it could easily happen last season, because we all saw it. He did exactly the same last season. This year, he got the ref that goes, "I've got your card, mate." And he was always going to send it.
I think all the refs are going to be like that on him.
A few might will be, and that's something that obviously, because Mccurdy has officially, Lindsay has come out and said Mccurdy has apologised to him. He's apologised to the team and everything. He said, "I'm sorry." And if that's something that can be worked on, and someone can actually just pull him to one side, Payne's missing. Payne would have just dragged him away and just sat him down and just done like stop being a dickhead. And he doesn't have that this year, which is a shame. But I think that a long conversation probably has happened after that game. Mccurdy and probably Lindsay and maybe some of the squad players just going, "Look, mate, you can't do that. You can't do that." So yeah, that's my opinion. My opinion is that I don't think it's Mccurdy not giving a shit. I think he does care too much, and I think in his head he just sees red and he can't help himself, and he can't help. He's like that in interviews. He's like that with former managers. If he sees a problem, he's gonna say, "Look, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's just the character he is," and he's doing that obviously on the pitch. But because he's got like Warhead on, he goes full on. So it is an issue. It's something we do need to address, but I don't think it's due to Mccurdy wanting out. That's my opinion. Warren might be right. It might be saying he's trying to maneuver his move, but I don't think that. I still think he's the same Mccurdy. I just think this is something that a small problem needs addressing, and I think it's been blown out of proportion. That's okay.
Penultimate view on this before we move on to the next topic. Let's go to Nick.
Right, Mr. Mccurdy. I pretty much agree with what Ben's just said. I don't think he wants away. I think he will still be with us. And they say there's a fine line between a genius and a madman. He was our genius last season. He is a shithouse, but he was our shithouse and everybody loved him. And I think, again, the only first time I can really think he did anything in that first half was when he went across the halfway line, beating 3 or 4 players. He was frustrated. He wasn't getting the ball. He wasn't getting any chances. And that led to it. The one thing I would say, I did read that the FA have put up this season to cut down on time wasting and dissent, which has gone out to all the clubs, I believe. Now, have our club briefed all our players and made it clear to them that this is going to happen? Refs are going to cut down on your time wasting, your back chat. Now, if they did and he didn't listen, then that needs to be dealt with. If the club haven't made it clear of what the FA directive is, the club are at fault. So, there's probably lots of things that are going on in the background. I love Mccurdy. He gets the fans going. He wants to win. I seen a picture of him with the players at the end of the game with them. And like Ben said, he's apologised. He got that wrong. He got the booking wrong. He was unlucky with the second booking. It was probably a foul, no more than that. A red card. The only thing I would say in his favour is that had he not been sent off, would have stuck with 3 at the back and we would have lost that game. And, he did us a favor. And I hope Lindsay takes note and we move forward now. And he's worried about players playing it left back. We've got 2 fullbacks. They should be able to play it right or left, whatever foot there are. So we should have the players to cover it. And, let's hope it moves forward. But my vote is Mccurdy stays. He will deliver. Plus, I think the other thing is any team that wants to sign him is taking a big risk because we know what he's like. And he was happy with us last season. Looking at all the things that are going on in pre-season, in the clips from around the club, in the open training session, Mccurdy looked as happy as anybody else. So I don't think he wants away. I think he's happy with us. And, he'll deliver. So I'm happy with Mccurdy.
And last but certainly not least, Mark, you've waited ever so patiently to have your say. Please let us know which side of the fence you're sitting on.
Firstly, dissent is a choice. Okay, you control what comes out of your mouth. So if you can't control what comes out of your mouth, then you're going to pick up yellow cards. And that was a problem last season, and it's already shown that it's a problem this season. Regardless of whether he's playing well or not, he's made the choice to say something. Now, that did mark his card with the referee. And for context, none of us know what he said to the referee. And every individual is different. And it might just have been something that the ref thought, fuck this, next time you do something, you're off. Simple as that. Secondly, was it a second yellow card? I've sat on the fence with this one. I think it's 50-50. I think, some refs are going to give that as a yellow, some aren't. What's quite rightly been said is the ref did hesitate before awarding the second yellow card. But Mccurdy, if you watch the clip, he did check his run. The run is slightly arced, and he knew he was going to make contact with that player. So that's where the 50-50 comes into it. Was it a foul? You could argue it probably wasn't, on the basis that it didn't seem to be anything more than shoulder to shoulder. But it's the interpretation of the referee. Was the intent there? So it's one of those. But unfortunately, on this occasion, he's picked up a red card. I mean, one point that I did want to go back to one was the point that Woody made about Mccurdy being the monster that we've created. I subscribe to that. I think we are, we've given him the platform and that populism, which is absolutely understandable as fans. You do latch on to players and give them that. But secondly, it's a bit rich then for that player to come out towards the end of last season and hold us all to account for not making enough noise at the county grounds and saying that we need to do more to support the team. The boot's now on the other foot for Harry Mccurdy. He owes us as fans. He got himself sent off at the weekend. He's not performing well. Okay, he wants us to be on his side. He owes us a performance for that. Now, it's up to him. I mean, ultimately, if somebody comes in with a cash bid, I'm not married or attached to the player in any way, stretch of the imagination. If a decent enough bid comes in, he'll be sold. It doesn't matter who the player is. We know that's how we operate. Would I want him to go? No, because he's the one that's potentially got 20 goals in him this season. The way he's playing at the moment, I don't think he's going to get the 20 goals, but he's a victim of the formation that we're playing, not a victim of being a poor player. And to get out of the funk, we do need to change that formation. So I'm hoping that Lindsay is going to learn and realise that changing us to a back four will get the best out of his star players. Mccurdy's better off out wide and cutting in. We know that. Where did he get most of his goals from, and where was he most involved last season? Further out wide. He's not a striker, as in the purest sense. It's one of those. It's a tough one. I mean, would I have given the red card on Saturday? Probably not. I mean, but then I'm going to be biased because I'm a Swindon fan. But conversely, having watched it and trying to be objective about it, I understand why the ref's given it. Yeah, so I think it's as simple as that. I've got nothing more that I can add to that. Sorry.
No, I think that's perfectly fair. And I think the thing with football, as we've always said, is it's all about opinions. Just because I agree with Warren doesn't mean that we're right. Just because Woody thinks one thing or Rich thinks another doesn't mean they're right. We'll all have our own personal view on what we've witnessed, and that's how and that's how these things work. And that's one of the reasons why football is the game that we love, but we also get frustrated by an equal measure because we're never going to agree on everything. Even us guys, we've said it before, haven't we? A lot of our episodes, we all seem to share the same opinions. So it seems weird when we're all sat here for an hour arguing over one player and his motives. I did just briefly, as it popped up on the screen there, want to highlight the situation that happened post-match. It was reported today that there was damage done after the game to Steve Millenhall's car. The club are investigating, but if you did see anything, please report it in, because that there's absolutely no call for any sort of damage to be done to a person or their belongings when representing any club, whether it's our club or anyone else's. And I hope it gets resolved soon. Because, as I say, there's just no reason for any Swindon player or coach to have damage done to their personal belongings, whether I just hope it was an accident as opposed to a purposeful act more than anything. But let's move on, if we may, and let's talk about tomorrow night's game and how important we find the Carabao Cup. Mark, I'll start with you, as you waited the longest last time. Obviously, you're going to the game tomorrow. What are you expecting to see, and how much importance do you put on the cup?
I think every game West Win is involved in is of equal importance to me, regardless of the competition. And I include the Papa Johns in that, even if that doesn't include the first team and it's blood in the, the youngsters or those that aren't getting the minutes. So for me, yeah, I'm expecting us to turn up there, and I'm expecting us to try and win the game. Anything less than that, I mean, we're paying good money to go and see a game of football and to support our club. So I'm hoping we turn on the performance. I'm hoping we'll see a change of formation. I'm hoping if we go to the four at the back, and I'll mention it again because I know a lot of you guys agree, that we'll actually see us playing a confident game of football. And with that confidence, I'm hoping we'll create an opportunity that we'll bury. And I hope that it's Darcy or Wakelin or somebody along those lines that gets it, because as soon as that first goal goes in, I think there'll just be that massive surge of confidence in the side, and we'll start to see a more confident, more free-flowing Town of last season. That's what I'm hoping for.
And how about yourself, Ned?
I mean, how important is the cup? I've just seen it as a, if we can get a big team in the future rounds, it's a good money spinner. And for now, do you know what? We probably need as many games as possible to get some momentum and some, cohesion in there. So I see it as, a tool to get our season kickstarted.
I start with you two, as you have prepared, and if anyone is easily offended, I would switch off for the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds, because we have the next instalment of the Red Report.
Pfeiffer, you need to share the sound.
Is that not coming through either?
Nope.
Nope.
Oh, well, that went tremendously well.
You see clips of the game and then Playboy just appeared on the screen.
Unbelievable. I do apologise for those with us. Yeah, these things happen, especially when it was already set up to do so.
Technical gremlins.
Well, indeed. But now I'm not sure why it's not doing it. Hang on. While I fix that, and we'll come back to that, Craig, I know you've had a lot to say in the past about cup competitions. Where does the Carabao rank for you? You're muted, Craig.
Mute Craig.
Hey. Come on, Craig.
It's going well today, well, the Curaçao Cup is better than the Papa John's Trophy for me, that's for sure. But
I wasn't expecting that, Craig.
The League Cup's lost its shine for me for a long time because like once the Premier League team stopped taking it seriously, it just became, it wasn't the same. I went to when we played Bolton away under Steve McMahon when we were in the League Cup quarterfinals, and we were so close to getting to the final. It was good then. 25, however bloody many years ago it was. So yeah, for me, I'm not too fussed. I wish I could be like Mark and treat it as every game as enjoyable as a league game, but I don't. So I think it's a chance. Like I said to us on our chat, I think we should start Minturn, give him a start in defence, and see how he gets on. But at the same time, we want to get our first win chalked up. So yeah, I've got to be honest. I'm not too fussed about it. I can't change how I feel.
Okay, Nick.
Well, it's a cup we've got no chance of winning, whereas in the past we'd have had good runs in the cup. Going way back, like Craig said, we got Bolton in the semis and got absolutely robbed up there. That was a terrible game to watch from our point of view. Yeah, he should make changes. I'd bring in Harris in, obviously rest Baldry, which I'm sure he'll do. I'll put a midfield with Darcy, Reed, Williams and Khan And obviously with Mccurdy missing, that gives us an option to see something different up front. So yeah, it'd be nice to win. I think it'll be 2-2 draw and go to penalties.
Okay. Woody?
We're going to win it. I'm with Mark. For me, if it's a competitive game, it's a competitive game. I want to win every game. But saying that, I do think it is an opportunity for us to change the formation, bring in a couple of new bloods and see how they're getting on. And I guess on the back of that, to what we've spoken about earlier, really test the depth of our squad. Does our second 11, which on paper looks a lot stronger than last year's second 11. I don't think we'll do mass changes. I don't think we've got the capability to do it. But I do think he needs to look at the four at the back. He needs to use this as an opportunity. He says, I think Nick brushed upon it earlier with the fullback should be able to play. Fullbacks is completely different to wing backs. So, it would be just great to score a goal. Wakeland's going to score a hat-trick. But it's, I think let's put it there because I keep forgetting, is it Hutton? I keep saying Hunt, but it's Hutton, isn't it? I think Hutton was an absolute different animal when he went to right back. Sade, as I like to call him, Tariq Sade, was he's not cut for wing back in my opinion. Whether he played there or not before, he's definitely not a left wing back. Use this game as an opportunity to try something different. Get Darcy in there, get Darcy his first goal hopefully, and the young lad as well, Massey. It'd be quite nice to see him rock up as well. So I think there won't be changes en masse, but it'd be nice to see a few of those players that probably deserve to be somewhere in and around the squad, given the game. But I think Walsall will do the same. So it should give us a good game of football. It should do. I think it's a competitive game, so we need to win it. And Mark brushed upon it a couple of weeks ago. We said if we lose to Harrogate, if we lose to Salford, and then we lose to Walsall, or draw with Salford as it was, and then we don't beat against Walsall, that's 3 games without a win. And regardless of what competition it is, if you haven't got a win in 3 games, you're starting to ask yourselves questions, never mind the fans asking you questions. So I just hope we go out there to win it. But it sounds like from Lindsay's match preview that we are going to go out to win it, just with a few changes in mind.
Warren?
Yeah, I agree with the lads. I think it's a game that we can build on from the second half on Saturday. I'm probably against the mould, but I don't think he will change to a back 4 tomorrow. I think Clayton will come in. I think Harris will come in alongside McDonald, and I think he'll stick with the 3. He already put the feelers out there in the press conference today that he doesn't feel like we've got the players suited to go to a back 4. And I think it's another game for him to build. I don't think this back 3 should just be chucked out the window. Playing a back 3 is tough. But if you want to control the game, having that extra person in the middle park is vital. So I don't think he will change. I think he'll stick with a back 3. I think he'll see it as another game for us to build a bit of confidence with that formation. I know we haven't seen the best of it, but if we would have won the first 2 games, we would have comfortably been going, well, why change? So I think it'll be, the round pegs in round holes. I think it'll be that they want to play the players in their positions that they're suited to. I think we'll stay as a back 3. I don't think there'll be many changes. I think he'll want to build this continuity that we've got to start building to get vital points for Saturday as well. But yeah, we'll go there and we'll try and implement our style of football. I couldn't tell you a prediction. I think Walsall have started pretty strong this year. And I think even if they don't make many changes, it's going to be a very tough game. They've got a good manager in Flynn, who I've said before. But the result for me tomorrow, as much as what he says about a loss, you don't want to lose 2 out of the first 3. I think tomorrow will be the key about the performance and seeing how some of the fringe players perform and whether we can build again on Saturday's second half.
Okay. I'll tell you now, what was it? If we play 3 at the back tomorrow, we lose.
Yeah. I'm with you. I agree with all of what you said on Saturday about the back 3 not working. But
the manager's got this inset, and it doesn't mean that if we've had a couple of bad performances that we need to throw it out the window. I agree there needs to be flexibility, but you can't have players playing out of position. I think if Ellis was fit, I think we'd have no problem to go into a back four, but we've got not that player to do that at the moment. We have not got a left back. Clayton is not a left back. He come on and did a great job on Saturday, don't get me wrong, when it was backs against the wall and we were trying, you know what I mean? And it was just like a free hit, really, because we all expected that we were going to lose that game in the second half. Do you know what I mean? We were probably thinking. So I don't disagree with it, but I think we need to give Lindsay the chance to implement what he wants to do and not be throwing it away. I agree the flexibility's got to be there, but you know what I mean? It wouldn't be Swindon Town if we turned up and play 3 at the back tomorrow and play Walsall off the park. You know what I mean? You could also see it from that angle as well. Do you know what I mean? So I hope he sticks with his guns, Lindsay. I think there's been a lot of people, there's been a lot of chit chatter and speculation on his back. I hope he sticks with it tomorrow and sticks with his round pegs and round holes, and we give it a go. So,
well, if my memory is serving me well, we still have 2 people left to offer their views. So let's go with Rich next, and then we'll conclude with Ben on this particular one.
Well, it would just be so. I mean, obviously losing the first game and then drawing the second game, and considering we haven't really won a first round Carabao Cup or League Cup game in I don't know how many years, for us to actually go out and win it tomorrow, whatever team we put out there. Usually when it does come to these kind of games, you got to be sort of optimistic because it is sort of it's a completely different competition to the actual league. Obviously, there are going to be some kind of changes. So there has to be some changes. There has to be some changes to us. So, yeah, you know, I think we could probably do it 2-1 tomorrow.
And Ben, are you equally confident?
I think both teams will play about with the squad a little bit, and I'm quite confident that the strength of our second string, I think players like Darcy, Khan, and Co will come in, and I think we'll look pretty good. I disagree a little bit with Lindsay when he says, well, I don't have a left back, so I can't go to a back four. We don't have a left wing back either, so it's hard playing a midfield 5 because Shade is not a left wing back. He doesn't fit. He doesn't look right. He didn't look right in either game. So he's the right signed for. He's a right-sided wing back. He doesn't look both
winger.
Right.
I thought that most fullbacks can play wing back.
No.
Unless it depends if you got the. It depends if you got the stamina. You to play 3-5-2. You need
most wing backs can play fullback.
Extremely fit wing backs. Kessler Hayden's a great example. He could run down that wing, all the way up and down it. He wouldn't be out of breath. He was honestly the pinnacle. And do you know what? You compared him to Ellis last season. Ellis, he was not fit at the start of the season to be playing that position, but he grew into it. Kessler Hayden, that's why we were getting the ball out to him all the time, because he could run down that right flank the whole game. Shade can't do that. He's not. From what I've seen so far, he hasn't got the energy to do that. And I don't think Hutton has.
Why are we playing a formation where we haven't signed the players that can play in it?
Well, this is the whole. This is the whole. And Dollo that can play on the left. So we have got 2, but they're just both injured. So it's unfortunate. But Clayton.
But you got to have backup for that, though, haven't you, Ben?
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, if you don't have backup, then you've got to go to a plan B. And you know, I personally don't feel as if that Lindsay is quite utilising the players that he has got and putting them in the positions he's like sort of trial and error. But this is where we've got to go back to Dean McCurdy as well. I mean, that is the whole recruitment thing sort of thing. We don't know an awful lot about that.
No.
So, but I'll leave that there. But I'll let you go on. Right?
Yeah, well, to link it into Carlisle well enough, if Swindon go to Walsall with a back 3 and don't perform, then that makes it almost impossible to play a 5-man midfield at Carlisle because it would have failed again. He has to go back to 4-4-2, whether he's got a proper left back or not. So we'll see how it goes. The players we've got, I'm confident we can actually go out and beat them. But whether they are set up well enough to beat them, I don't know.
No, go on, carry on.
I was going to say, I kind of do agree with Wazza a little bit in the fact that, in some ways, maybe we do want Lindsay to stick to his guns. But at the same time, it's okay, Lindsay, to admit that you might be wrong. I'm not saying that we're all experts because we are all fans, but we say about, like, Clayton's not a left back. Clayton was a better left back than Sade was left wing back. I have no doubt that Sade is going to be good. But it's I think we're also, everybody seems to be going to the point where we might as well play it free at the back because this gives us time to gel. It gives those back three time to gel, even though we're probably changing.
Woody, it's free games.
No, because we're going to change the back. We'll probably change some of the back three, so it's not going to give us time to gel. He will not play the same back three that he played on Saturday. He will not play the same lineup. We haven't got Baldry can't do it, and I think I generally can't. I just
when
from
we've got
my
5 or 6 centre halves though, I'm just kind of like we're playing a back three.
Yeah, but also, do you know what? And I didn't get a chance to review the Salford game, but we talk about playing from the back. Yeah, we had 3 centre backs who can't really pass the ball. We all mentioned that first half we couldn't put a pass together. So sometimes we talk about gelling, but you look at a player can't pass the ball 6 yards and we've got problems. Regardless of where they play on the pitch, that's not a gelling issue. That's an individual player issue. And I just don't get why we're playing a system which is 3-5-2, as I said before, where you're playing a wing back with a weak foot, playing on their weak foot when you want to play wing backs encourages wider football. You can't cut in as a wing back. That's not the idea of the system. So we either need to try something different out there or try a different, try a different personnel, try a different formation, and this would be the game to do it. Surely he must look at, I know he was forced into making the changes, but, I'd give him his praises for Walsall, for the Salford game. Those 2 subs he made at half-time were a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
Because it absolutely changed the tempo of the game. Salford were not expecting us to come at them like we did. And I think we could do that. And it shows that we have got a plan B. You put Mccurdy into that team, or anybody, another striker into that team, we're a strong attacking force on that second half. So I just think that even as a coach, I'm not anywhere near the level that Scott Lindsay is, but even as a coach, it is okay to admit that maybe you made the wrong decision and you don't have to go with the 3-5-2. Maybe you can change it. So I just think that, yes, okay, let's hope he sticks with his guns, but sometimes it's not a bad thing to just admit that you're wrong. But yeah, you make a good point, was that we do have 155 centre-backs and 155 midfielders. So, maybe he is trying to not upset the apple cart on that side. But I just think that, it depends on how seriously he wants to take the competition tomorrow as to whether he is going to change, whether he's going to change it round. He says he wants to win the game. He could probably win the game regardless of what formation he plays, but is it an opportunity to try something different?
Can I just stick up for your friend Sade?
Sade.
I think Ned was saying his body language was poor. From my recollection, everything in that first half come down their right-hand side, and he seemed to be overloaded with at least 2 players coming at him, and he had no cover from anybody across the back 3, from my recollection. I know Fife is shaking his head, but that's how it looked for me, that he was exposed on his own with 2 players coming at him the majority of that first half.
From me, from my perspective, you're partly right. Everything was coming down that side, but that's mainly because Sade couldn't tackle, couldn't intercept, couldn't match anybody for pace. And when he did have the ball, all he was doing was either kicking out for throw-in or giving it back to them. So they were targeting him because he was, unfortunately for him, because I said to Mark, I'm really hoping he has an excellent game because I was really looking forward to seeing him play. He just had an awful, awful half. And when I found out he was one of the players to get hooked at half-time, I was not shocked in the slightest. But that was just my opinion on what I saw.
Just on the subject of 3-5-2 and talking about having a plan B, and coaches admitting maybe they're wrong and maybe they should try something a little bit different to force a result. How long did we have to wait for Ben Garner to instigate plan B? Was it December?
Yeah, bloody ages.
I really hope that we're not going to intend, if results are still sketchy, that we're not going to intend on sticking till December until we decide to know what plan B is going to be.
Do you remember, Mark, during pre-season when it was first noted that Lindsay was playing free at the back? He said it was going to be one of many formations that we'd be able to play.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'd like to think that he would click on a bit quicker than what Ben Garner did, because it'll be too late if he does.
Well, again, but based on the number of defenders and midfielders we've got, we're looking at 4-5-1 or 5-4-1, yeah?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Okay, let's. What I'm going to do then is just very quickly, and Ben, I'm speaking directly to you when I say this. One word answer. Are we going through tomorrow or not? Let's start with Ben.
Yes, we are.
Mark.
I'm going to give 3 words.
Yes.
He tried it in one breath, to be fair.
Craig?
No.
Nick?
Yes.
Ned?
Yes.
Woody?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Warren?
Use my words.
Yes.
Excellent. A lot of positivity.
By the way,
No,
if you're listening to the audio, Rich said thumbs up. Yes. If you're
Mark said yes. Okay, I'm pleased to say our first attempt may have failed terribly. However, we do have a red report for Carlisle, which I am, 99% sure is fully working and ready to go. So let's give this one a go before we have a look ahead to the weekend's game.
For the third instalment of the Red Report, we travel to the beautiful, picture-perfect and serene Cumbria. It may be the longest distance that us Swindon fans will travel this season, but by Jesus it's worth it. Cumbria is the jewel of northwest England. We have the Lake District, North Pennines, Lake Windermere, and yes, fucking Carlisle. A thorn amongst many roses, Carlisle is the reason why people move overseas. It's the reason why kids should always do well at school. Carlisle is a shitpit that nobody wants or even likes. In other words, if Cumbria is the much celebrated long-running show Top of the Pops, this makes Carlisle the Jimmy Savile. Carlisle fans, whilst having an awful stadium, with an awful team, with an awful manager in an awful shithole of a city, for some reason think that they're bigger than they are. The deluded dwarves would be better nicknamed the Tin Pot Runt. Even their ground has the word runt in it. Pubs that accept away fans include Carlisle Rugby Club and the Beehive on Warwick Road. Both are near the ground. Their namesake, Robert Carlisle, is probably most famous for his role in train spotting. This is funny, because I'd rather spot trains than watch Carlisle play football.
I have to say, excellent work again, lads. And given who's in the crowd tonight, did I spot that the first little stat there was a little Cheltenham reference as well?
Yes, it was.
Excellent. I'm sure Christian will be delighted watching that back. It's obviously difficult, and we'll discuss it more whether we do a bonus show or not to go into more detail. We need to get through tomorrow night's game first, but given everything that's been said, and Craig, I'll start with you this time. How confident are you from the second half of Saturday that things are moving in direction and we can look ahead to this coming Saturday in a positive frame of mind?
Yeah, I think it was something that maybe the team needed because of the camaraderie and it just having your backs against the wall. and everything. So I you know, it was a good thing. And you know, like we were saying about Lindsay's substitutions as well. All right, they were forced on him, but he still had to make those decisions. And we had Wakeling played well, and Darcy did well when he came on. So we was showing that there is a bit of strength in depth there, and hopefully that bodes well for the rest of the season. So yeah, I don't think any of us could see that second half coming, could we? So for us to finish on that, I think that's a huge morale boost. And regardless of what happens tomorrow, I think we can take that into Saturday, and that would give us a huge boost. So yeah, I'm more confident for Carlisle because of that second half performance than what I would have been beforehand, definitely.
And Woody, I know you sort of touched on it earlier, but I don't think who's going to be number one for that game is in any question now, is it?
No, I think you can't drop a keeper on a clean sheet, really. So I don't know if Ward will go in goal tomorrow. I think that's probably one of the mysteries. But for me, Bryn's earned his shirt just in that game, and I think that was always going to be the case with the majority of football-loving fans. That if he's playing well, keep him in there. This fair play. Even if Ward isn't tomorrow and has an absolute cracker, that makes him the cup keeper, I guess.
Yeah, Didn't Lindsay confirm earlier that Ward was starting tomorrow?
Yeah, confirm it. Yeah.
I haven't listened to Lindsay's thing, so I wouldn't
know. Nick, it's as alluded to in the Red Report, it is a long old trip up there, but we could go in with confident mood.
100%. With the way we played second half, with the likes of Hutton, Clayton playing really well, Darcy looks a player. Hopefully he gets a start. He was someone who actually went past players, drove it forward, which is apparently how Lindsay wants to play. Wakeling ran his guts out. He deserved a goal. So,
I was very impressed with him second half.
Yeah, I'm really hopeful that I think we'll definitely get a result up there. Like we said, Mccurdy's, if he starts him, it's not guaranteed, depending on what happens tomorrow. But Mccurdy will score, and I'd love to see Wakeling get on the score sheet as well. So I think comfortable win.
Was that?
Tough game. I think they've started quite well, Carlisle. It's sort of boring. It's a broken record, but if we implement our style, like I always say, I think we will beat anyone in this league because if we play our decent brand of football. I agree definitely with Nick about Darcy. I think he's a player that we've got to find a place in the starting 11. I think the second half performance that he played was. This is the concern on when we go back to the formation side of it, is where he fits in, because does he play wide? Has he done enough to drop a Gladwin out the team at the moment? Probably not. So this is the difficulty. But on to Carlisle. We've got good form there, haven't we? It's still very early in the season for me. I think there's always freak results, and I don't take a basis of it till sort of after 6-7 games until you get a real feel and a real idea where teams are at. I'd love to say that we'll go there and win, but any result is possible.
And Mark, that's pretty much along the same thing you've said for best part of a week now. It is sort of 10 games minimum, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean 10, 12 games. You've played a good selection of the teams that are in the league. From you'll have played some that are going to be up there come the end of the season, or the pre-season favourites versus those you're expecting to maybe be at the other end of the table. So until you've played that number of matches, it's very difficult to get a feel for it. I mean, I don't disagree, Cosy. Carlisle may win 2-0 at the weekend. I mean, all results are possible, right? But I think a lot will depend on how we play tomorrow night and how we perform tomorrow night, because the proverbial nail on the head is 3 games without a win. That's going to be in some of those players' minds, and they're going to start to feel the pressure. And obviously how they deal with that is something we'll find out as the season goes on. But saying that, though, a positive result tomorrow, and I feel that we can go up to Carlisle with a bit more confidence and a bit more of a spring in our step. Let's see. I mean, hope again, if we stick to the 3-5-2 tomorrow night and we win, I'll bow my hands down to everyone's superior intellect in that regard, and it's the right thing to do. If it goes the other way, I'm going to start getting a little bit nervous that it's if we carry on doing the same thing. So, yeah.
Ben?
2-0 win and Mccurdy with both.
Nice and simple. Love that. Last but certainly not least on this one, Ned.
Yeah, I'll keep mine brief as well. I think it will suit us to have 3 games in a week. I think we just need to get as much football played as possible. And I think at some point it will start to click, and I reckon that will be by Carlisle. And I know that Chewy's in the chat, and I will just say that I think Carlisle are complete shit. So I can't picture anything else apart from a Swindon win.
Well, we have received a few questions both during the show and in advance, and as we've always said, we're pretty much happy to tackle any question more or less. So I'll go to the ones that have come through in the chat tonight first, if I can. And the first one was, here we go, an actual STFC based question. If we don't sign another player this month, where will we finish? Let's start with Warren.
We need a striker, don't we? I've always been pretty confident that I think even with the squad at the moment that we'd be challenging the playoffs. I think I still don't differ from that. It's still way too early in the season for me. Yeah, we need a striker. We need just a bit of competition at that top end of the pitch. If we get that, I'd see no reason why we can't cement a place in the playoffs. So we just need someone at the top end of the pitch for me.
Okay, Woody?
The question
sorry,
is,
Ned, you wanted to pull up on that one?
The question is, if we don't sign a striker, where are we going to finish?
I'm sorry, Ned.
That's the question.
If we don't sign a striker, I still think we'll be in and around the top half of the table.
Okay, Woody.
I think I said in the predictions episode that I think we were a good striker away from finishing in the top 3. I still believe that, even though we've had a bad start. I think we'll still finish playoffs because I think we will be in a position where, come January, unless we're doing really, really badly, we'll be in a position where we can bring players in and utilise the loan market a little bit better. So I still think if things go right, which sounds really weird to say, we can still finish playoffs even with the current squad, but we would need to bring somebody in January.
Okay, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I think I predicted we'd miss just outside of the playoffs if we did get that striker. I think without it, I think we're looking about 12th, 13th, that sort of position. I don't think the squad as it is anywhere near good enough for automatics. And I've said this before. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but at the moment, I just can't see it. I just don't think we're good enough. And also going back to what Mark was saying, it depends if we change to the playing 4 at the back. If we don't, and he does have a Ben Garner, I think we're going to be in for a long, hard season and ultimately one of disappointment.
Okay, Nick.
I'll keep it short. Agree with Woody. Playoffs now, top 3 if we get a decent striker.
Okay, Ned.
I mean, the balls Hutton was putting in. If Adloy hits some form, then I can see us scoring a hell of a lot of goals. So I'm going to revise my original pre-season one, but I'm going to say 7th.
Okay, Mark.
Without an additional striker between 9th and 15th, with an additional striker between 9th and 12th. I've predicted a mid-table finish, and nothing has convinced me otherwise yet. So I'll stay exactly where I am on that one.
Okay, Ben.
If we sign no one from here till May, about 8th or 9th, I think we're one good striker from a playoff push, a proper playoff hunt again, and I think we're probably about 3, maybe 4 players off automatics.
Okay. I think if we don't sign anyone, we'll be in and around the playoff places. Adding a striker in particular, I still think automatics is possible for us. We are only 2 league games into the season. The next one, I'm going to go to a question that's come through from Darren Jackson on Twitter, because it's, an actual proper Swindon one. Do we think Mccurdy is playing in the right position currently? I thought he was much more effective coming in from the right. But if we're not playing that way and someone did want him, is it worth cashing in? So kind of 2-part question there. Craig, let's start with you.
I don't think it's worth cashing in on him until we've got someone in beforehand. You know, we need it. We're a striker short anyway. It doesn't make any sense to get rid of Mccurdy even if a good offer comes in. But like Mark was saying, we're a selling club. So if a good offer comes in, he's only got a year left on his contract, isn't it? Yeah. So I don't think it's worth. I'd rather let him go for a free at the end of the season, to be honest with you, if we've got any chance of making the playoffs. But yeah, as far as his position is concerned, I mean, we've only watched him play a couple of games. I've only seen the one, and he was only on the pitch for one half. So I honestly don't know if he's better out wide coming in or playing up front with as a two up front.
Okay, Woody.
I agree with Toby, by the way. Just that comment had just come up. Because Bristol Rovers were the same last year as well. Mccurdy, I don't think his position is the issue here. Again, if the right offer comes in, we should take it. You know, but it has to be the right offer. And sorry, Craig, I was only half listening. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure it was you. It was you that said, you know, that it's. I don't think anybody's going to take a punt on him, to be honest. So. I think we got him for good for the rest of the season.
Okay. Ben.
What was the question again?
Is Mccurdy playing in the right position?
Right. No, he was with Simpson. Sorry, my mind went just completely blank. He was. He played with Simpson last year in the 2 at the start of the season, and he did all right. He found his form then, so he can do it. I just think he needs the right sort of player to play off. I don't think Wakelin is that sort of player. So maybe he would work better with another striker. I think his best position is wide man and front 3, though. I think 4-3 is his best. So whether it cash in, I agree with Craig. We need someone else who needs to.
Sorry, that's what I agreed with. I don't know what I was on about. That's what I agreed with Craig.
No, I even though I forgot the question, I was actually listening to Craig.
Between you, you've managed to get the question and the answer, so that's quite impressive, Woody and Ben. Well done. Nick, are you still with us enough to answer the question?
Well, if you tell me what the second part was.
If we're not playing him in what's perceived as his better position, as in a wide striker, should we cash in?
Okay, he's definitely better off coming in from the right hand side, from the wing, as already been said. That's where he was most effective last season. I don't think cashing in on him is going to be an option because I can't see. Excuse me, I can't see anybody actually coming in for him. As I've said numerous times, he's too much of a risk. Okay. So he will be with us all season.
Mark?
I think the issue that Mccurdy's got at the moment is he hasn't got a Jack Payne. Jack Payne and Mccurdy last season just clicked and were phenomenal as a pairing, and you know that intuitive behaviour on the pitch kind of made them have the seasons that they had. So I'm hopeful that Darcy can be that player. And I echo what you were saying. He could well be that pocket rocket in our player of the year come the end of the season if that cameo from the weekend is continued. And hopefully, if he can be the foil for what Mccurdy needs, then he can be successful either as, in the front 2 or from coming in out wide on the right. But at the moment, I think that's probably the crux of the problem for him is he doesn't yet have that foil, that person that he can play off and instinctively know how it's going to work. That'll come with games. I'm going to remain positive.
Ned?
I'm not entirely sure what the question is, even though I've heard you say it several times. It's still not picking up. I'm just going to give a bit.
Is Mccurdy playing in the right position to get the best out of him?
Oh right, okay. Well, no. As it's been said, he's wide right is his by far and away his best position. However, as Ben said, he has played there before and succeeded. The Salford game didn't create anything in that first half. So, it's difficult to score goals when you've got no supply, isn't it? So, it's difficult to say at this precise point in time. But if we have that spirit and stuff, then we should be able to give him the ammunition, and then hopefully he'll pick up.
I don't think it was just Payne last year as well. I think we kind of underestimate how much of a connection he had with Simpson, how much of a connection he had with Davison as well. I think he was surrounded by, people that would give him what he needed. And I think that makes a massive difference. Whereas now he's got two young players, and that are, Wakeling. I still think Wakeling and Mccurdy could work, but that's because I think Wakeling's going to be fucking class. But I think that we can't just go with the Jack Payne. I agree with the Jack Payne point, but there was other players that really did bring Mccurdy into play as well.
Was there last up on that one?
So with regards to him playing at the top end of the pitch, I agree with Ben. He needs. I don't think the Wakeling partnership will work because Mccurdy needs that 6 foot striker that's there to go up against the centre halves, and he works off someone who does that. Not that makes Wakeling a bad player, certainly not. I just don't think the partnership will work. You saw that on Saturday. I know it was the first game that they played together, but it just did look a bit disjointed between the pair. I think we need to see a bit more of this Adeloy, who could go up against these centre halves and be someone a bit different for Mccurdy to play off. I don't see much of a difference between the 4-3-3 and the 3-5-2, personally, for me, for Mccurdy's position, because in the 3 on the right wing, he could come in from the right wing. But in a striker, if we're going to get a target man in, then Mccurdy can be that float. He can float wherever he wants. If he wants to come in off the right and play off that striker, he can do that in a 3-5-2. I don't see any reason why he can't. I agree with Nick's point. I don't think no one will come in for him. You know what I mean? That he'll stamp his feet if he wants to leave or if he doesn't want to leave, but no one's going to take the risk on him. I think whatever formation he plays, he needs someone at the top end of the pitch that's going to hold the ball and is going to bring him into play. And Wakeling did it okay at times, and it was only his first game. But he needs that striker mould at the top end, like Woody said. Davidson, Simpson, someone that's going to be there.
I don't know. This might be a controversial point. I don't think Simpson was very good at holding the ball. I think, but those two work together. Those two work together really well.
Yeah, I agree. I was one to criticise Simpson's hold-up play 100%, but I think he had that persona of a big striker, someone that was going to take the workload and someone who was going to take the big challenges. You know what I mean? And I think Simpson got scapegoated a little bit with regards to that. But Mccurdy just needs that someone he can work off a flick or work off something. You know what I mean? So that's where I think he'll sit with it.
Okay. We just have a couple more less serious, Fools Rush In based, quick fire questions. So Warren, given the nature of this one, I'll let you go first. This one came in during the stream.
That's very good. I like that. I'm guessing they're going on about my long-winded answers, but I'm not normally that long. It was only about when the Mccurdy rant that I couldn't stop, and I apologise for that. But no, I do like quite a long shower, although we're probably going to get restricted if this heat wave carries on, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? So shorter showers, they're going to tell you. So I don't know. We'd have to ask the rest of you how long you stay in the shower. So it could be me, but I'm going to go keep a hairdo like Mark's. You've got to be in the shower for a good bit of time.
Let's go to Mark then. Are you particularly long in the shower, Mark?
Nah, get in, get a job done, get out.
Good lad. Ned?
As a Thames Water employee, I only take 2 minutes in the shower.
Of course we do.
And then to wash.
Craig? Craig?
Well, I'm not saying that I'm attractive, but when I take my clothes off in the bathroom, I turn the shower on. So,
Woody?
I'm one of those wasting water people. Sorry, Ned. But the shower is probably on longer before I'm in it than I'm actually in it for. Because I end up turning the shower on, then realizing I haven't got my towel. So I run and go get my towel, and then I realize I need a wee, and I'm not one of those that wheezes in the shower. So it's I'm actually in the shower. I'm not in the shower that long, but it feels like to everybody else in the house, it probably feels like I'm in there for ages.
Ben?
My routine takes a good 10 minutes. The
full shower routine. I won't divulge into the exact details of a 10-minute shower routine.
No.
The imagination of the
I have to
viewers.
run the shower off first to start with, and usually, go for a wee. Sometimes I need to turn it back off again if I need to go to the other one. But sometimes then you get it when you come out the shower, and then you need to go. It's like, oh, it's a nice shower. And now I need a poo, and it's like,
this was a level of detail I wasn't expecting.
Too much detail.
I was about to say that was an excellent question, and now Ben's just absolutely ruined it.
That wasn't the question, Ben. That wasn't the question.
Nick.
Okay, picking up on what Ned said, being an ex-Thames Water employee, I take as long as I like in the shower now.
On an equally less serious, more Fools Rush In based sort of tone, we had two questions submitted by Daz Smith. The first one, which I did share with the group to give you time to think. There are loads of STFC blogs, I think he means, and other content. In a dance-off, who would win between Fools Rush In, Low Strangers, the Sir Tom Broadbent, and the Official Supporters Club? And which one of us are we putting forward to represent Fools Rush In?
All together now.
Rich. This is why Rich left early, wasn't it? Definitely Rich.
Sergey.
And it doesn't matter who the others put up against us. Rich will win every day.
Yeah, Rich's moves, man.
Yeah.
Warren is massive, though.
Warren is massive.
Yeah.
He would definitely bring in a crowd. We have said that we are built more for a Swindon Town content, maybe tug of war team or rugby team. As certain people will, we average between sort of 5'8" and 6'5". That we're not lacking a bit of weight between us, except maybe Rich and Craig and Nick, of course. So we'd certainly be all right there, I think. The follow-up question included Hannah's of Sir Tom Broadbent. Who from Fools Rush In would be able to out-moonwalk Hannah's on the assumption that he can moonwalk? And he has subsequently confirmed that he can. So who do we think of the panel has the best moonwalk about them?
Well, it'd be Rich again, wouldn't it? Yeah. He backed out of this pod now. So.
You know what? I reckon Woody's got a little bit in the locker.
I reckon Ned, after a few beers, can definitely shift a move.
Yeah.
I reckon Ned was so keen on Star Bar that night. I reckon he wanted that stage. Well.
Depends how slippery the dance floor is, to be fair.
Well, it's greasy up there. You know what I mean? You've got no problem.
In my much younger and much less weight days, I used to be able to do the old spin on your head, one rotation thing, but I've never been able to moonwalk, and I am certainly not attempting to spin on my head anymore because I would snap my neck in multiple places.
Great dancing.
We'll get you doing it at the end of the season. Don't you worry.
You absolutely will not.
I think we'll hold a leg each and spin you around.
In fact, I think Liam's asked when who's going up to Bradford. You're going up to Bradford with us, and your Fifey. Should we get you?
I've booked a half day to travel up to Bradford. Yes, I believe Bradford is looking very much like a Fools Rushing takeover.
I'm buzzing. I'm off the work. I'm going to Bradford.
Fifey and Billy Bantam's little dance off, I reckon.
Maybe Billy Bantam can sort us out, some executive, and we could have some padded seat.
Padded cell.
What if Chewy can sort us out with something like that?
Billy Bantam's a wanker.
Stop being nasty. He just said something nice on the chat.
And just as I say that, look, let's go for food before the game.
Not anymore.
That's what you call timing.
Yeah, listen, guys, including Rich, who snuck off without saying bye to anyone. Thank you very much for the last 2 hours. It's very much appreciated. We've covered a lot of topics there. Thank you for everyone who's joined us in the chat. As always, we appreciate your comments, and we hope you continue to join us, as every Monday we'll be doing our shows live, unless there's any more technical glitches for any reason. But hopefully, moving forward, every Monday at the same time. You've seen mine on here. Yes, your comments are here. We've seen them as well, Cosy, but only so many of them are actually broadcastable.
Don't use me for tyres no more, because you can only buy part warms. Well done, mate.
But gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Mark, I will see you at Walsall tomorrow, and for any of you travelling up to Carlisle, including those watching and or listening, have a very safe trip, and let's hope that by the time we meet again, we're in the next round of the Cup, and we've got 3 more league points on the board. From everyone at Fools Rush In, thank you very much, and we will see you next week.
You Reds.
Take my hands, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling